Hey crew, sorry that I look so terrible. I've been sick this whole week. But for some reason, I was struck by a muse to create this video for you today. Completely random topic. So a while ago, I got one of those Keurig coffee makers. I wasn't a fan of using the pods that you can buy because I feel it creates way too much waste. So I bought, off Amazon I think, these little pods. They're refillable, so you just open it up, you put your coffee inside, close it, and pop it in the machine. And it worked, but the coffee was super weak. And it just wasn't working well. And I think it's because you can see that there's not much screen here. So a friend of mine recommended that I get this kind off of Amazon. And you can see if I compare the two, how much more like screen real estate is going on here, how much filtering is going on here. So I started using this and it worked so much better. The other thing I had to do was switch from using a really fine ground coffee to using a more coarse ground coffee for my coffee, because with this one, not as much water could get through, and with finer grounds, it was the grounds were absorbing all the water. And so for a cup of coffee this big, it's about 20 ounces. Honestly, I have 2 of these a day. But I'd only get like this much coffee, and that was just weird to me. So a friend told me about these. I started using these for my coffee and it worked beautifully. Great. Fast forward to this week. I've been sick and I have some weird little congestion thing going on. So I was looking up on Google, best ways to combat this cold that I have. And one of the things that they said was don't take too much caffeine in because it thickens the mucus if you're congested, which I am. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I should drink some tea instead. I'll still have 1 cup of coffee, but instead of having 2 cups of coffee like I normally do per day, I decided to switch the 2nd cup to tea. And we have a big tea maker, but it makes too much tea. It's great for 2 people, but for 1 person, it makes too much tea. So I was wondering, could I use my Keurig to make tea? And so I grabbed these because I still had them. I haven't been using them, and I grabbed these, opened it up. We have a bunch of loose leaf teas from Tivana, and I was using the ruby spiced cider, which is delicious. And I put some of that in one of these, closed it up, popped it in my container, and tried to see if it would work. Lo and behold, it works great. So if you have a Keurig and would like to make tea, using one of these with loose leaf tea works great. However, what I also found out was that the next time you make coffee with that Keurig after making tea, your coffee is going to taste like whatever you made, whatever your tea tasted like. So my cup of coffee this morning tastes a little bit like apples and berries because that was the tea I had in it previously. So either I have to get a separate Keurig just to make tea, or, get an actual tea strainer or a smaller. So we have that, like, Tivana makes this really cool tea strainer where you put your loose leaf tea in it and then you pour hot water in it and let it steep. And then you put the whole thing on top of the cup and it kind of like, for lack of a better term, pees into your cup. And it works great. And we have 2. We have a big one and a little one, except my husband took the little one into work so he can make tea for himself at work. And we have the big one here at home. So maybe we need to buy a second little one to have at home, or just get one of those like the Mana tea, or like the little dude that sort of like hangs off the side of your cup and it's a tea strainer. We have a tea ball, but the latch on it broke, so every time you try to make tea with it, it opens up and just the loose leaf tea goes everywhere in your drink and it's gross. So that said, if you have a Keurig and don't want to create lots of waste, make sure that the type of reusable pod you get looks like this and has lots of filtery screen space. If you have this kind already, it works great for making tea in your Keurig. However, the next thing you make will likely taste a little bit like whatever tea you just made. This has been your PSA for today. Have a great one.